Gerber!
Hey Dan,
How are you?
yeah,
Nice to see
to
you.
see you. Yeah,
Ah,
great to have you here.
So good to be back. It's been a little while since I've been here. And there have been some changes. The first one I see behind me. We are still in Belgian territory, but some slightly different Belgians this time around.
Yes, no, definitely, very much Belgium territory, and a little bit more the Flemish from the north now. So Jan and Isabel Boone are the new owners since last year in March.
But still keeping the Colmant name and keeping this very, very focused desire to make some of the world's best bubbles.
Yes, and in fact, even doubling down on that, to increase production just to be even more specific on mainly Chardonnay and a little bit of Pinot. And yeah, they bring a wealth of experience and tradition from their family.
And so that means what you've now been doing for some time continues. I still remember our first conversation where you told me about this previous life as a school teacher, and you've now moved into the world of bubbles. Do you sometimes wake up in the morning and think, you know what, I could still be marking stuff off on a blackboard or running through exams or having horrible children run around my classroom, and instead I'm sitting here making great wine?
Yeah, no, it's an incredible opportunity. So yeah, definitely still miss Saturday mornings rugby at school and things like that. But yeah, I think I'm sure the kids are happier without me as a math teacher. Not sure ever I was that good, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and this is it's a great way to spend life.
You've obviously found your calling, because what you're doing, you're both very good at and you're really passionate about, and you're doing it in this space that every year I come back to, and by the space Franschhoek just seems to have an increasing affinity with making great Cap Classique. Now, yes, it looks beautiful, but beyond the aesthetic, why is it that Franschhoek is able to deliver such extraordinary Cap Classique?
I think, obviously we buy a large portion of our grapes in the valley as well, but I think it's being surrounded by like-minded producers and the interactions there, the conversations that we have together. And with our team growing here as well in the valley, I think it's perfectly placed for that growth. So a little bit of terroir, and then also I think a little bit of philosophy in terms of winemakers sharing ideas, inspiring each other.
And a lot of that, I'm sure, leads to your own understanding of what you can produce here at Colmant. Is it a case that season by season, vintage by vintage, you're just learning more and more about the potential of what you're doing here?
Yes, definitely, and I think we keep wines back, so those reserve wines are critically important in terms of what we're trying to do. With the wines that we learn, each year we bottle every single separate vineyard, so we taste it every year, and then we can see what does that play a role in the bigger blend for us. So yeah, I think each year is an opportunity to learn from the year before and to plan for the year ahead.
All of this talk of Cap Classique has me rather thirsty. There is much to still talk about and discuss, but do you think we could get a glass of bubbles?
I think we have to.
All right, on we go. So this is the Colmant tasting room, where you're going to be sorely disappointed if you arrive and you don't like bubbles, because part of the Colmant charm, part of who you are, the defining part of who you are, is that that's all you do. You just do bubbles.
Yeah, it was. I think it's become a healthy obsession, or at least my wife is very happy for the obsession. But yeah, as a wine geek, I was always enthralled by how many bubbles, why do the bubbles taste different, and yeah, so that's what we do.
And you do it extremely well with a range that has slowly but surely started to grow. And I know we're going to taste some more of them a little bit later, but I suspect that's a natural evolution of you as a winemaker, discovering the scope of both what you can do in making wine, but also what Colmant can offer you in return.
Yeah, I think it's about that expression of what's uniquely South African. And Bubbles Ferreira always said, you can taste the sun in the fruit, when he spoke about Cap Classique, and I think it's so true. Our house style at Colmant is about finesse and elegance, and so it's really looking for that ripeness, and then and serving it or showing it with that finesse and elegance.
As I look across the tasting room, I see over in the corners a map of Champagne. There's a lot of reference points within Colmant to Champagne. I think the best South African Cap Classique doesn't try and copy Champagne, doesn't step out and say, oh, look, we're better than Champagne. But there is certainly a lot of inspiration you can take. It's the same method, and you are looking at a style that's been done and perfected for so many years in France.
Yeah, sure. I think, that frame of reference is important to us, but we need to make it our own. And so we see certain things that we do differently to the Champenois. But, at home, on the table, we serve both side by side, because for me, it's not a competition, one is better than the other. It's about showing that expression of terroir, and terroir is the place where it's grown, but also the philosophy, how do people think and talk about life? And I think in South Africa, we have so many different angles on that, on how to show the expression of the grape or the wine. So we have something completely unique.
I'd love to learn more about that, but at the moment I'm being horribly distracted because I'm smelling something amazing and it's sitting just in front of me. I'm going to pop it up there so everybody else can see it. What are these? Who is responsible? And why would we have them today?
So it's Gouget and Chef Christophe de Horst from Glen Elly, from the Wine Bistro at Glen Elly. He is the chef for that. And for me, it's the perfect thing to have with sparkling wine. It's just a little bit of Gruyere cheese in the Gouget, and you have this lightness and freshness from it, so it doesn't saturate your palate, and that's important when it comes to sparkling wine. You're looking for something light to enjoy with it, and yeah, I think the flavor profile with the wines, with the reserve wine, yeah, it all works really well together.
So if I was ever facing the death penalty for doing something I entirely deserved the death penalty for, like putting Sauvignon Blanc in the freezer or serving warm Pinot Noir or an equally capital offence, my death row meal would be cheese fondue with cheese fondue for dessert. So I think these are going to be brilliant. Can I try one?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, the softness. There's no weight to these at all.
Perfectly.
Oh, that's good. So light, so airy, and oh, I think the only thing here that goes better with Cap Classique than one of these would be the guy making it. Oh, so we have two challenges, if that's all right. The first of this, we have our Dan Really Likes Wine crew. If you're watching, you obviously can't see them, but there's about 17 of them salivating and watching. So Paul and I are going to finish all of these before they get a chance to. But then I want to head into the cellar, because if I look at wine across the board, if there is one achievement in wine that I think just about usurps all others, it's something that you do and something that your fellow masters of bubbles do, and that is create the non-vintage. So if we head into the cellar, I'd love to get a sense of how difficult that actually is and how you pull off that ability to year after year after year, giving me that non-vintage house style. At the moment I drink it and go, oh yeah, that's Colmant.
Excellent. Yeah, we look forward to it. See you there.
We will indeed. We've just got 2 dozen of these to finish. So here's something I've never quite understood the mechanics of when it comes to winemaking. Paul, champagne, we often speak of, I want vintage champagne, not non-vintage, and sure, a vintage will celebrate a great year and will often be an extraordinary wine. But the making of non-vintage to me is remarkable, because whether you are a Moutet Chandon or a Veuve Clicquot making millions of bottles a year, or you are Colmant making a smaller amount but still significant, what you have to achieve is giving me a bottle that if I drink this year and I drink in 5 years' time, that has to taste the same. And creating that house style, once you've settled on what it is, must be, for me, one of the most challenging items of being a winemaker.
Yeah, I think for us as a house, Every wine that we release is non-vintage, but firmly based in the vintage. So there will be a minimum of 60 to 65% from one single vintage, but the reserve wine is what gives that golden thread that always brings you back to that moment. It's like having any great glass of wine, you go back sometimes to that moment that you first tasted it. You know, was it at this restaurant or in that field having a picnic? And so the importance of that house style laced into the wine is what is the challenge each year. And that comes from the vineyards and how we manage it. But it also comes from how we press the grapes. And in Cap Classique and Champagne, we have different press fractions, and even those are blended to create that house style or to have that house identity.
I love the fact you bring up fractions because, of course, you are a maths teacher in a previous life, and there is a sense of the equation to this, working out that 2x plus y plus z equals, and the equation might change, but the end result always has to be the same. And that, for me, is the magic of what you do, is going, right, well, if I'm going to get this Colmant house style, I need half a barrel more of this and a little bit less of that, and these are the grapes I picked 2 days earlier than the others, and working out in your head how all of these moving parts will come together to get that same result time and again.
Yeah, I mean, we have probably 30 to 40 different components that need to come together. And, you know, it's like having people for dinner. You know, certain people sitting next to each other, they will have an affinity to bring certain things out, or, you know, humor or interesting stories. And the wines are like that. You put a little bit more of one wine with the other, and suddenly there's a greater expression of something from that region. So we know each region, what we're looking for, and then just from those, putting them together, you get each of the wines to balance each other, because at the end, balance and elegance and finesse is important. But then also, each of the wines needs to bring something out that's a characteristic of that region, so they don't suppress each other.
If I'm hosting a wine event, hosting a wine gathering, it makes my job easy because I know it's guaranteed. Colmant will deliver what I'm expecting no matter when I give them that wine. But for you, is that the single greatest challenge you face as a winemaker, keeping that consistency of house style?
Yeah, I think the greatest challenge is for us is I don't want to say consistency, but maybe more. It's always to have a reminder of what we are and who we are. And that expression of the fruit from certain regions or from certain vineyards, so that when you pick up the glass, you have this, even though there have been vintage differences, which are small in the blend, you have this identity that it's like seeing an old friend. And you pass by and suddenly you can say, oh, you remember that rugby game we played, or that school tour we went on? The wine should be like that. Each time you pick up the glass, you have this identity that comes back to you. Okay, I'm drinking Colmant now.
Yeah. It's a warm, familiar hug in a glass, and it does a terrific job. And I think it's of the many things that tell me that you're a master of what you do, this, getting the non-vintage right year after year, is top of that list.
Thanks.
Cheers. So this, Paul, is one of the crucial elements of the art of making Cap Classique. This is the disgorgement for people who aren't familiar with how you make bubbles when you're making them properly. As you do, what is this? Why do you do it?
So we have the bubbles in the bottle because the yeast eat the sugar. As yeast eat sugar in bread and the bread rises, so we have the bubbles from that. But at the end of the time, there's a small batch here of yeast that we need to take out, so that the wine is nice and clean.
So all the yeast is now in the neck of the bottle?
Yes.
All right.
So we've kept the bottle upside down, but this is a special bottle, Dan. So it's a Brut Reserve from 2009. So that's the third vintage, or the third release from Colmant in 2009.
Proper history from Colmant.
Yeah, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity to show. Everyone speaks about aging, and this is a wonderful opportunity to show how aging is good for sparkling wines as it is for still wine.
Now you have in your hand a tool that looks like in medieval Europe you might have used it to extract information from somebody who wasn't terribly willing to give it to you. It's not a torture weapon, it's just a really cool tool.
Yeah, so the crown cap is the modern way of closing the bottle. Obviously, when you get it in the store, it's closed with a cork. But to take the yeast out, we're going to flip the crown cap off. And the whole trick is there's a large bubble at the back of the bottle. As it runs to the front, just as it kisses the yeast, you take the crown cap off and the yeast and the bubble go out. And we try to keep as much of the wine in the bottle.
So you are opening that, letting the yeast get out, watching it go out, and then tilting the bottle back up, but doing all of that in about 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, it's my only chance to multitask in life.
All right, I'm back. Is this going to explode everywhere? Do I need a welder's mask? Do I need to back off safely?
Well, it's 6 bars of pressure in here, so...
That's
yeah,
twice my car tyre. All right, okay. Here we go. Careful, we might lose a crew member here. Whoa!
There we go.
That is expertly done.
2009 still has bubbles.
Brilliant. So this is going back now 16 years.
That's good math.
Haha. Maths teacher said that. They've never said that to me before.
Yeah, so it's amazing now. The wine has no dosage, so there's no sugar in it. It's perfectly dry. And, you know, we were tasting this yesterday. You have that nice salinity with all those baked flavors like you had with the Gouget.
The nose is so rich and complex, and that leads directly into the wine. And it's bone dry, but that doesn't mean there's no flavor, because there's loads of that too. And there is such purity to it. And this really is Cap Classique in its purest form.
Yeah, I think age is one of the things that you cannot rush in our process. So.
Oh, that was glorious. Technique was very impressive. I survived, and there's not much on the floor. Do you now have to do that with every single bottle individually?
No, I think some of my friends think that's my day job, but now it's a semi-automatic machine. But how the bottle is handled is really important. So Karen, that does it for us, you know, with the assistants, when she degorges and when one of the other guys in the team, Darren, degorge, you actually see the loss difference just by how the bottle is handled. So, you know, Karen is really, really good at that, and we take a lot of care to make sure it's done perfectly.
All right, I suspect if I'd done that, you'd have about half the bottle left. The neck would probably be broken, and I wouldn't get a job. So I'm glad you did it. And I'm really grateful for you opening this, because this is a little time travel in a glass. And it's so nice to go back in time with Colmant to 2009 and see just how well you've been doing for so long.
Yeah, our pleasure.
All right, I know you've got plenty of others, so let's leave the sanctity of the cellar and head out into the Franschhoek sunshine and see what's on the menu for today with the Colmant offering. And so to the fun and lazy part of the afternoon. Many reasons I would not be a great winemaker. Mostly though, I just spend all of my time lazily sitting in the garden like this, drinking all the stock and doing what I would consider to be research. And I know you don't do it a great deal, but to be able to sit back here to survey these surroundings and just go, hey, this is my office, this is home. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure, like as you alluded to previously, friends from my previous life probably think this is how we spend our day. But yeah, no, it's a privilege. It's such a privilege to do what you love and what you're passionate about, and that's my day job. You know, I cannot wait to get to the cellar in the morning. Yeah.
And create the gems, some of which we've already had. Two others that we're wrapping up our visit here today with. And the first is one that I've given to a lot of people. And with some of them, there's a little bit of skepticism when I offer them the Colmant Rosé, because they see the color, and it is quite an intense color. And subconsciously, they start thinking, right, well, this is diabetes in a bottle. It's going to be lashings of sugar. My teeth are all going to fall out the minute I drink this. But once I've given it to them, I then regret it because they finish it all instantly and there's none left for me, because the colour might suggest something different. But this is bone dry. This is a really dry style of bubbles.
Yeah, I think the color is a reflection of the ripening conditions in South Africa, so we have a little bit more extraction there. But then that finesse and elegance that we were speaking about earlier, that really has to be there for me with rosé. And so you want enough dryness to be able to enjoy the ripe fruit, but also not. It should be easier to take a second sip.
So you've got, what, about 85% Pinot Noir in there, the rest of Chardonnay, in very simple terms that somebody with an English degree from UCT can understand. How do you take the grapes and make this? What's the process to giving it this color, giving us this rosé blend that you have?
So all the base wine is pressed to almost have no color. So we press super softly, really almost lighter than you would press with your hand. But the color is coming from a separate red wine that we make. And in our case, we've had a dramatic improvement in the color in the red wine since Calissa has joined us.
And she's your new winemaker.
Yes, so Calissa is almost straight out of Elsenburg, one of the finest establishments to study winemaking along with Stellenbosch. And the attention to detail in that red wine is so important because we don't want too much tannin, which makes it hard and makes the bubble hard. So we make a red wine on a really specific manner to keep the color. And the color needs to age. This wine is aged for 24 to 30 months before it's released.
It's a real act of patience, and it delivers a wine, and I've had plenty of it, and I know I'll have plenty more. And again, it is just that dryness, and there is a sweeter style, the style that certainly in Johannesburg is really growing, that nectar style of slightly sweeter. But if, like me, you lean towards the anti-sugar side of things in terms of the flavour profile, this really is a rosé is glorious. Now, I mentioned the patience, and that's quite important leading into our other wine here, because 24 months, 30 months, 36 months, that's a fair amount of time, but it's just about manageable. The other wine is the Absolute, and this is wine that you're making now that you are not going to see for, 7 years?
Yes, it ages, it's a Blanc de Blanc, so it's 100% Chardonnay. And we age it for 6 years with the lees or the yeast inside, like you saw earlier. And then we age it for another year on the cork before we release it. And there's this wonderful interaction of extraction from the cork to make the bubble even smoother and softer after that time. And it's a passion project for us. It probably keeps the bank manager awake at night for waiting.
Your accountant must hate getting an email saying, right, we're now going to up our Absolute. We're doing 7 years on a project where you're not going to see any money for nearly a decade.
Yeah, it keeps them busy, let's say. We have to, between glasses. But yeah, I think, that aging is so important for the smoothness and texture of the bubble on the palate. So this really is a project that we put a lot of effort into to have that moment of singularity with the wine.
I'll ask you for the evidence, but before I do that, as I finish off my rosé, because I certainly wouldn't want to waste such lovely wine, I'd like you to very carefully give us a lesson in how to best open a bottle of bubbles, because there are lots of theory here. Do I need my thumb into the base? Do I turn the bottle? Do I turn the cork? What for you is the best method of opening a bottle like this?
So Dan, what's really important is to have a firm grip on the bottle, because as we said earlier, you have 6 bars of pressure in the bottle. And then I know there are lots of rules about it, but for me, to hold the cork tight and to turn the bottle.
I see you haven't removed the case, and you've kept everything on there,
yeah,
and you're just holding it in one go.
So the muselet we leave on, when you sabrage you need to take it off, but for now we leave it on, and it gives a little bit of grip onto the cork, because sometimes the cork can be a bit tricky. And then you give a soft turn, and the idea is to slowly allow the cork to rise out of the bottle, and the bottle should hiss not pop. And actually, the bubble tastes different if the cork slides out softly and you have this light hiss.
So if I look at then, sorry. So if I look at then best and worst way, you go into the nickel kitchen and there are dents all over the ceiling. Really what you want the sound of is that puff adder seconds before it takes your ankle. That just gentle hiss and bang, you've got it.
Yeah, gentle hiss and like I say, the bubble tastes even better then.
All right, so there we go. This is 7 years old. And it is straight away, and you know what's coming if you've had older, longer matured bubbles before. There is that richness, there is that intensity, there's that layering of the wine that's telling you the kind of story that really you should be able to if you've let the genie out of the bottle 7 years after it has been put in the first place.
Yeah, that time is the one thing that we have to respect or take care of. And the bubble, you'll see, has this kind of pearlescence to it. And you can see the bubble, almost that bubble layer on top of the glass, giving that aesthetic pleasure as well.
Ah, this is glorious. These are the bubbles the French dream of making, Paul Gerber. No dismissal, of course, to great French champagne, but what this does do, and it reaffirms what we said earlier, you're not trying to compete with champagne, you're not trying to replicate, not trying to say, oh look, we're better than them, but what you are doing is taking the incredible terroir and the wonderful vineyards of South Africa, taking that same method certainly, but showcasing in this wonderfully South African way and doing such extraordinary justice to the potential that you have here.
Yeah, thanks. As we said earlier, it's not to have one better than the other, it's to show two perfectly excellent styles of the same wine.
Oh, Paul, it is always so much fun hanging out with you. I learn so much every time we catch up. I also drink lots of great bubbles. And it's just really hard not to enjoy time here. I know it's an exciting time for you. There are new developments afoot and you've got lots of great adventures ahead. So expect us to be back again soon to keep tasting some more bubbles and to celebrate this art form that you've found and said goodbye to teaching. As much as I know your pupils would miss you, I think you made the right call.
Excellent. Thanks. Great to have you here, Dan.
There we go. In the heart of Franschhoek, it really is a space that has become our own little home of Cap Classique. There are some terrific houses of bubbles here in Franschhoek, but a visit to Colmant will reaffirm that this really is a wonderful temple to the very best of effervescent delight. Cheers.